IT, are you ready to go? Can we start streaming?
This one can't be the same. What's going on?
Yeah.
Did they take it off?
This is the control room. I'm Oscar from IT, and we're good to go.
It's just
We are already live streaming.
IT, are we ready?
I don't know about you guys, but I have nothing on my screen.
Give me a second. This is David. I'm checking it. I just got confirmed that streaming is ready, so you can go ahead.
Thank you. You want to start, Kevin?
Yeah. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. This is Kevin Smith with Streaming Inspection. Due to the pandemic, this State Planning Commission meeting, video conference meeting, avoid congregate settings and physical locations. The Texas governor has temporarily suspended specific provisions of the Texas Open Meetings Act to allow telephonic or video conferencing meetings and to avoid congregate settings and physical locations. In compliance with the requirement that the city provide two-way communication for members of the public may communicate with the City Plan Commission during public comment and regarding agenda items by calling the toll-free number listed on the posted agenda. For those of you who are watching via the stream via the internet, I'll read that number to you again if you'd like to call and comment. The number is 1-833-551-0381. At the prompt, please enter the following conference ID. That number is 253-882-797#. Anyone from the public wishing to speak will be required to press *6 to mute themselves, and there are certain points during the meeting where they'll be asked for public comment. We also want to remind everyone when not speaking to please mute your microphones to avoid any background noise interference. Raul, will you take roll call to CPC, please? Raul, take roll call.
Thank you. Okay, Raul Garcia, Planning Inspections. If you can please respond by saying present. Chair Livingston. Chair Livingston. Commissioner Cabrera. Here. Commissioner Cummings. Here. Commissioner Wright. Commissioner Wright. Commissioner Hernandez.
Present.
Commissioner Trimble.
Present.
Commissioner Uribe.
Here.
Commissioner Torres.
Present.
And Commissioner Garcia. Commissioner Garcia. Okay, looks like we have 6 present. We do have a quorum. At this time, I'll go ahead and pass it over to First Chair Cummings to call the meeting to order.
Good afternoon and welcome to the April 30th, 2020 meeting of the City Plan Commission. My name is Chris Cummings, stepping in for Chair of the Commission for Margaret Livingston, and I call the meeting to order at 1:35 p.m. Raul, do we have any changes to the
statement to the public, sir?
Oh, I'm
Statement.
sorry.
Yes, sir.
Sam.
The City Plan Commission has sole and final approval authority over subdivision maps. Although the Commission is sole and final authority with respect to subdivision approval, this authority is statutorily limited to a ministerial examination of the application's conformance to all applicable code provisions. The staff report for an agenda item may include conditions, exceptions, or modifications. If the Commission does not wish to approve an exception or a modification or require a condition, then the Commission's motion will state which have not been approved. Otherwise, the staff report with all modifications, exceptions, and conditions is approved, and the applicant shall comply with all provisions of the staff report. All agenda items other than subdivision items will be conducted in the form of a public hearing. The chairperson of the commission may allocate and limit the time of persons speaking before the commission. The normal process is as follows. First, the commission will hear a staff report followed by a statement from the applicant. Then members of the public may speak, followed by any final statement from the applicant. Finally, the matter will be closed to the discussion amongst the commission. The commission shall then make a recommendation that will be forwarded to City Council.
Thank you. There are several changes to the agenda. If you can please bear with me. Item number 2 will be postponed for 2 weeks. Item number 3, there's a revision to the application number. The last 2 digits shall read 30 instead of 23. It should be 30, so that application number should read Zuzu 20-00030. That's for item number 3. Items number 7 and 8 shall be listed under the public hearing rezoning applications and not under the condition release. These are zoning applications and shall be listed under the rezoning applications. And then finally, items number 10 and 11 will be heard together as they are for the same property. That's items number 10 and 11. There are several revised staff reports, and this week there are no items on the consent agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Call to the public comment. This needs to be read, right, gentlemen?
Yes, sir, for any items that are not listed on the agenda.
Okay. This time is reserved for members of the public who would like to address the City Plan Commission on any items that are not on the City Plan Commission agenda and that are within the jurisdiction of the City Plan Commission. No action shall be taken. The request to speak on public comment may email ramirez@elpasotexas.gov. Requests to speak must be received by 1:30 p.m. on the date of the hearing. A total time of 5 minutes may be allowed for each speaker. The public comment portion shall not exceed 30 minutes, unless otherwise approved by City Plan Commission. Do we have any public comments?
Commissioner Cummings, we did not receive anybody to sign up. However, just as a note, we do have people signed up to speak on items 10 and 11.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's begin. There's nothing on the consent agenda that I see, so we'll move to the regular agenda. So item SU ET 20-00001. Are you ready?
Yes, sir. I'm loading up my presentation. I had it up and it was taken down. Can y'all see the presentation?
Yes.
Yes.
I cannot, but I'm looking at my computer with the presentation.
Okay. Do I proceed or wait for Mr. Uribe? Okay, item one, I'm sorry, good afternoon, Chair and members of the Commission. Armida Martinez with Planning and Inspections. Item one on the agenda is Robert Alva easement vacation. This is an aerial view of the easement, which is located within 5505 Robert Alva, Henderson Middle School, which is just south of Alameda and west of Lisbon. Here is the survey. The applicant is requesting to vacate a 20-foot utility easement to allow for the expansion of the building area. The expansion will include the relocation of Clardy Elementary School within the Henderson Middle School footprint. And this is a slide showing the building currently under construction, which sits on the easement. And here is a side view. And I don't know what happened. Looks like I got kicked out. But with that, planning does recommend approval of the 20-foot easement vacation request, and that concludes my presentation. If there's any questions.
Any questions for staff? I'll take that as a no. Can we hear from the applicant? Is the applicant online?
I did see that he was on there, Mr. Padilla.
You press star
I'm
six.
online.
So,
Can you hear me? This is Elias Padilla.
Yes.
Good afternoon. Can you just repeat that last portion?
I just was asking,
Do you agree with staff comments?
I do, yes.
anyone have any questions for the applicant? I'll take that as a no. Can I get a motion to approve?
Juan Uribe.
Second, Trimble.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The motion passes. Okay, item number 2 is postponed. So item number 3 is SU 20 00030.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the Commission. Luis Zamora with Planning and Inspections. Item 3 on the agenda is the Strahan Village Estates, a major combination application. Just a reminder, this has a revised report. Again, this is SU 20-00030. This property is located north of Borderland and west of Doniphan within El Paso extraterritorial jurisdiction. The applicant proposes to subdivide 6.64 acres of land into 34 single-family lots, 1 stormwater pond, and dedicate 19 feet of additional right-of-way to Strahan Road. The primary access to the proposed subdivision is from Strahan Road. This slide shows the preliminary plan showing the layout of the lots within the subdivision. This is the final plat. And to conclude, planning recommends approval of Strahan Village Estates on a major combination basis as it meets all requirements on El Paso's subdivision code. And this concludes my presentation.
Any questions for staff? I actually have a question. It's Chris Cummings. The area on that diagram, is that a park or a pond or I didn't notice a park otherwise?
Which part again?
Can you identify that purple area?
That's the pond.
Okay. Is there a park in it?
No, there's no park.
Why is that?
This is Nelson Ortiz with Planning and Inspections. The property is located in the county, and the applicant will be paying park fees.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Can you hear from the applicant, please?
Yes, this is Sal Masood with Del Rio Engineering. And we do agree with all staff recommendations.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for the applicant? I'll take that as a no. Anyone want to give a motion?
Motion to approve. Second, Juan Uribe.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And the motion's approved. Okay, item number 4, a major SUSU 20-00031.
Okay, can everyone hear me and see the presentation?
Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon. Emily Diaz-Melendez with Planning and Inspections. Item number 4 on the agenda is Tierra del Este Unit 89, a major final application. The proposed subdivision is located east of John Hayes and north of Montwood. It lies within the East Side Impact Fee Service Area. The applicant is proposing to subdivide 74.659 acres into 280 single-family lots and 1 park. And this is page 1 of the final plat, page 2, and page 3. Tierra del Este Unit 89 is vested under the Tierra del Este Phase 5 land study, which has a vesting date of August 8th, 2008. And with that, planning staff recommends approval of Tierra del Este Unit 89 on a major final basis with conditions. The following conditions are ones that were approved with the preliminary application. That improvements for Tierra del Este Unit 83 need to be completed and accepted prior to recording. That the City Plan Commission require the applicant landscape the rear of all double frontage lots, and that the drainage infrastructure for Tierra del Este Unit 74 must be constructed and accepted prior to or concurrently with Tierra del Este, Unit 89. And that concludes my presentation.
Any question for staff? I have a question. So those improvements, are they done yet? Or, I mean, it looks like that adjoining development is not developed. So.
Improvements to the other, like your condition to the other units.
I believe I can, if the applicant's on, they can answer to where they're at with those other improvements.
Okay, any other questions for staff? No? Okay, can we hear from the applicant, please?
If the applicant's here, please press *6 to unmute yourself.
Good afternoon, Chair and Commissioners. Connor Conde with Conde Incorporated. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Great. First, we do concur with all staff's comments. Second item is all the abutting subdivision improvements should be completed within the next 2 months.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, can I get a motion, please?
Move to approve Trimble.
Second, Hernandez.
All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye. And the motion passes. Thank you. Next is a public hearing for a re-subdivision combination, item SU 20 00022.
Hey, Luis, please unmute yourself.
Sorry. Good afternoon, Chair and members of the Commission. Luis Zamora with Planning and Inspections. Item 5 on the agenda is Berlama Estates Replat A, a subdivision combination application. This property is located west of Donovan Drive and south of Red Road. The applicant is proposing to re-subdivide 5.19 acres into two single-family lots. The reason for the re-subdivision is to reconfigure the lot line and irrigation easement between lots 1 and 2. Primary access is through Mulberry. This is the preliminary plan showing the layout of the lots. We'll have one, lot 1 is located to the northeast part of the subdivision, and then everything else is lot 2. There's an existing house that's going to be, it's gonna continue there, and then on lot 2, there are some structures that will be removed. This is the final plat. We do have some exceptions being requested by the applicant for Mulberry. The first one is to allow the sidewalk location to deviate from the required DSC requirement. As you can see at the top, you can see the required cross section. On the green portion is the landscaping part of the parkway, and then the red portion is the 5-foot sidewalk. And then underneath that, you will have the proposed ones for lot 2 and lot 1. and you can see that the sidewalk is abutting the roadway. And then the next exception being requested is to waive roadway improvements. This will be 3 feet of right-of-way and 7 feet of roadway in section AA for lot number 2, which is a small lot at the east that includes the house to remain. And then we have 6 feet of roadway in section BB for lot 1 that they're requesting the exception for. You can see here on the top cross section, the gray portion is the roadway with the green again for the parkway, the landscaping parkway, and the red showing the sidewalk. The proposed cross section show that they're for lot number 2, they're lacking 3 feet of right of way and then 7 feet of the roadway. And well, I already explained all this. So the request for the first exception meets the criteria under El Paso City Code section 19.21.050B, as the existing sidewalk and parkway configuration are in character with the surrounding area. And then exception number 2 meets the criteria under El Paso City Code section 19.10.050A1A, as more than 50% of the lots within a quarter mile of the property have already been developed, and the street improvements are in character with the neighborhood. This is a map showing the quarter mile buffer, and these are images showing the conditions of the improvements. To the left, we have looking to the east, and then the center is looking almost at the middle of where the subdivision abuts. And then on the right, we have a view looking west on Mulberry. Notices were sent on April 2nd, 2020. We did not receive any communications in support nor opposition to the request. To conclude, planning recommends approval of Bear Lama Estates Replat A on a re-subdivision combination basis and approval of the exception request. Thank you.
This is an item in the public hearings. Is there anyone from the community wishing to speak on it? If not, can we hear, and does the applicant agree with staff recommendations?
If the applicant is here, please press *6 to unmute yourself. It appears, Commissioner Cummings, that the applicant is not present.
Okay. Should we get a motion, please?
Motion.
Ladies first. Is that Juan?
Yeah. Aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Commissioner Cummings, just to clarify, the first motion, who was that?
I'm not sure. Can you identify?
I made a motion. I don't know if someone else did. This is Debbie Torres.
Thank you. It was Commissioner Torres first, seconded by Commissioner Uribe. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 6. This is a condition release. And the item is PZCR 2000001.
Okay, can you guys see my screen? This is Adriana Martinez.
No, not yet.
No? Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. It takes usually a little bit to load. Can you see it now?
No.
Okay, there we go. You should be able to see it now. Yes?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect, thank you. So good afternoon, Chair and members of the Commission. Adriana Martinez for Planning and Inspection. Item 6 of the agenda is 1188 Dyer for a condition release. The development is located within the Northeast Planning Area, and access to the subject property is proposed from Dyer Street and Mesquite Floor Drive. This is your future land use map. And here we have the conceptual site plan. The applicant is requested to amend Condition A imposed on Parcel 1 by Ordinance Number 010366, which is dated on May 23rd of 2006. The proposed amendment reduces the overall landscaping buffer, which is required, from 20 feet to 10. This is your subject property, and this is the surrounding areas. To the north and west, we have R5 with single family dwellings. To the south, it's M1, and it's currently vacant. And to the east, we have an M1, and it's a warehouse. Notices were mailed to all property owners within 300 feet on April 17, 2020, and planning has not received any support or any communication in support or opposition to the condition amendment request. And with this said, it concludes my presentation.
I'm just reading the DCC and staff recommendation real quick.
Sure.
So to the City Planning Commission, the main modification is to reduce the landscape buffer from 20 feet to 10 feet.
Does anyone have questions for staff?
Yes, Debbie Thornton here. Actually, I was just wondering why that was asked for a reduction. Why a reduction was asked for.
Pretty much it's just to match all the additional or all the surrounding area. Everything within its surrounding neighborhood has just that 10-foot buffer. So they're just requiring for it to be uniformed, and that gives them access to take advantage of the parcel itself. However, Conde is on the line, so he can answer any additional questions you might have.
Any more questions for staff?
Thank you, Adriana.
Not a problem.
Can we hear from the applicant, and does the applicant agree with staff recommendations?
Conrad Conde with Conde Incorporated. First and foremost, again, we thank staff for their help with this case. We do concur with all staff's comments. Second, I think there was a question why we're reducing, I believe, 20 feet to 10 feet. The original premise of the 20-foot landscape buffer was because this is zoned C4, and that meant heavy commercial. This is a school site, so it doesn't need as a buffer as if you had the heavy commercial. Hope that helps.
Thank you, Mr. Conde. Any questions for the applicant? Okay, can we move to further discussion or a motion?
Mr. Cummings, this is a public hearing.
Oh, This is a public hearing, so are there any members of the public that would like to speak on this item?
If there are any members of the public, please press star 6 to unmute yourself.
I do have a question for, this is Chris Cummings, a question for the applicant. Any foot buffer affect development significantly? I mean, is it such a small that they couldn't do the 20-foot buffer?
Yeah, to answer your question, it's very narrow. If you look at it, it's not a very deep site. It's very narrow. And so it makes it very difficult to achieve the what you call on-campus, off-street vehicular movements for that campus, as well as providing the play structures that they need to do. So it does make it very difficult at 10 feet.
Thank you. Personally, I don't know, 20 feet sounds like a lot of buffer, but I always hate to reduce any kind of landscaping that we have in this town, that we have an opportunity, especially for a school that's coming into our city. My staff, 15 feet, if that wouldn't affect the development too much, Mr. Condi, I don't know. Like I say, I just hate reducing landscaping when at all possible.
Well, hopefully it's easier. We're above and beyond what is required for the landscape code as it is. And again, the reason why originally you see 20 feet is when you anticipate heavy commercial and industrial users that abut residential. In this case, a school is not a commercial or industrial use. It actually complements the neighborhood. So the 20 feet is not needed as that buffer.
Got it. Okay. Can we have a motion, please?
Valdez, move to approve.
Garcia, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And the motion passes.
Commissioner Cummings, Raul Garcia, for the record, Commissioner Garcia is present. Just like that for the record. Thank you.
Okay, next is items 7 and 8. They'll be taken together, and this is also a public hearing item. So if there are members of the public that would like to speak on this, would you let us know, staff?
Yeah, so just clarifications, the items the public are signed up to speak on are 10 and 11. 7 and 8 are separately and individually. To my knowledge, there's nobody signed up for those items. However, at the end of the presentation and discussion, we will be opening it up for any public.
Okay, my bad. All right, so item number 7 is PZR Z200001.
Give me 1 second. I'm trying to pull that up. It does take a little bit too long to load. Give me 1 second. Just kicked me out. Oh my God.
Let me know if you need help, Adriana.
Yeah, give me 1 second. I had it up and it disappeared. Here we go. Yes, can you pull it up for me, please? I'm sorry.
Okay.
But you know what? Perfect. Thank you. Okay, so item 7 on the agenda, this is Adriana Martinez with Planning and Inspection again. So item 7 on the agenda is a rezoning case for 11199 Sean Haggerty. Please change your slide. This development is located within the Northeast Planning Area, and access to the proposed development is from Sean Haggerty and Marcus Uribe Drive. Next slide, please. Here is your future land use map. Next slide. Your conceptual site plan, the applicant is proposing to rezone approximately 2.88 acres of land from R3A residential to C1 commercial to allow for a commercial development. The conceptual site plans indicates 3 phases, each containing 1 building. Next slide. Here is your subject property. Next slide, please. And these are your surrounding areas. To the south, we have R3A with a special permit, which is a medical facility. To the north is an R3A with a single family. To the S is an R3A with a special permit, and there's an apartment complex. And to the last is going to be an apartment. It's residential as well. I'm sorry. Next slide, please. Planning has not received any communication in support or opposition to the rezoning request. Notices were sent to all property owners within 300 feet on April 17th. And with this said, staff does recommend approval of the rezoning request, and this concludes my presentation. This one was updated, I'm sorry. It's not the updated PowerPoint. We do recommend approval, and the TIA has been approved from Street at Maintenance.
Any questions for staff?
This is Debbie Torres. I actually do have a question. It looked like in the material that I got that part of that piece of land was going to abut to part of a residential area. And if so, is there going to be a condition attached there? Would there be a condition necessary for a landscape buffer?
There is no condition yet, since this is just a conceptual site plan. Usually we do require a 10-foot landscaping buffer and a 6-foot rock wall whenever, anything is abutting a residential from commercial.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
If the commission would like to add that to their recommendation, you certainly may include that in your motion.
Thank you. Questions? Can we? Yes.
Is it possible to know who is the developer of this property? Or we're not supposed to ask that?
It's under a corporate name.
Del Rio Engineering is the representative here today, I believe.
We can always ask the representative if you like. Any other questions for staff?
Drive around the block. It's right around the block.
If the representative's on the line, do you agree with staff comments or staff recommendations? Sorry.
Yes, Sal Masood with Del Rio Engineering, and we do agree with the staff recommendations and comments.
Thank you. Any questions for the representative?
No, Chris, but this is Commissioner Hernandez, and actually, I would like to, if possible, if necessary, include a condition on the buffer that abuts that neighborhood. Not sure how that would be phrased, but if there's a way that we could put that in there now, I would like to.
See that state park.
Sorry?
Yes, so if the commission wishes to impose a condition, that condition can be made part of the motion.
Okay, I'll go ahead and do that then. So this is Commissioner Hernandez, and I make the motion to approve with a condition that there's a requirement for landscape buffer between any future development and that neighborhood.
And I second that motion. I'll second that motion.
For clarification purposes, would that be a 10-foot landscape buffer?
I would say a 10-foot landscape buffer would be appropriate.
Thank you.
And also maybe just specifically towards the side with residential, not, you know.
Yeah, just towards the Moon Ranch, but also that that sidewalk right there that goes down along it is that developed? I don't think it's fully developed. I believe it cuts off in the center, so I would like to also see either the city or the property owner develop that sidewalk. But I guess we'll get to that whenever they at a future date, right?
That is a standard code requirement that they improve these sidewalks immediately abutting and adjacent to their property. So that will be addressed in subsequent phases of development review.
Okay. Yeah, so just to confirm, Commissioner Hernandez and I propose a motion to require that northwest portion of the property behind that neighborhood.
Okay, so to the City Planning Commission, if I might, some of our typical language, for consideration includes, and I can read this, which was similar to the request I was just heard, which says a 10-foot wide landscape buffer to include but not limited to high-profile native or naturalized trees be placed at 20 feet on center shall be required along the property line abutting any residential zoning district. And a landscape buffer may be placed within the required setback. So that is some typical language where conditions are included as part of a rezoning application that is where it's abutting residential. So that's for the commission's consideration.
I have a question for staff. I mean, are we just duplicating efforts here, or because it's going to be done later on down the road? Or, I mean, there's no chance that this won't happen upon further review, right? When there's a rezoning.
Are you speaking specifically about the buffer or about the sidewalks?
About the buffer.
The buffer is not otherwise a code requirement, and so if it's this body's desire to make it required for this property, it does need to be added to the zoning ordinance. Or I'm sorry, to the ordinance that rezones this property. If you're discussing sidewalk and parkway requirements abutting the rights of way, those already are requirements for future phases of development for this property.
Okay, so Patrick, do you want to make your motion now with your?
Yeah, well, I said, I guess for the third time, but I don't have that language that Kevin just used, but I'd like to propose a motion to have a 10-foot landscape buffer between any development or structure and the residential area on the northwest end of that property.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Well, we didn't get a second. I'm sorry. Yes.
I did second previously. I'll second again. This is Debbie Filders.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 8. So in the public hearing section, do we have anyone signed up to speak on this? I'll read the item number. It's PZR 3200010.
Yeah, we need to just include that in our review. Yeah, so I'll make sure that gets added.
Yeah, if they're going to maybe a higher density or a higher zoning district.
Yeah. And that's something that honestly we never don't require it. Basically, they're very limited.
I think we're hearing a discussion. Are we?
Yeah. I mean, it's good that they're
Kevin, and mute yourself. Can you mute yourself, please?
Looks like Adriana's kicked out again, so we'll wait for her to get back.
I'm so sorry. It just kicked me out completely. Okay, and then, give me 1 second. Let me pull that presentation up for you. Okay. Are you able to see my screen?
No.
Oh.
There you go.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so again, this is Adriana Martinez for Planning and Inspection. Item 8 on the agenda is 2300 McKinley Avenue. This is a rezoning request application. This development is located within the central planning area, and primary access to the existing development is from McKinley Avenue. Here is your future land use map. The applicant proposes to rezone a portion of land from R4 special permit and R4 residential to planned mountain development with that same special permit to allow for the continued use of an assisted living facility. The approved special permit on the subject property was to allow the assisted living facility. The application intends to construct an additional parking lot to serve the facility. The planned mountain development allows the assisted living facilities by right, and thus this will allow the hospital to meet its needs. The detailed site development plan indicates or shows a 30,560 square foot building and a 275,000 39.89 square foot of undisturbed space. Here is your subject property, and this is your surrounding development. To the north, we have an A2 with apartment. To the south is Planned Mountain Development with single family. And to the west and to the east is Planned Mountain Development in R4, which are both vacant lands. Public notices were mailed to all property owners within 300 feet on April 17th, 2020. And I did receive one email on inquiry up to this rezoning request. With that said, staff does recommend approval to the rezoning request, and this concludes my presentation.
Any questions for staff? If the representative's on the line, do you agree with staff recommendations?
Conrad Conde with Conde Incorporated, and yes, we do concur with all staff's recommendations.
Any questions for the applicant? Can I get a motion, please?
Move to approve, Jeffrey Wright.
Second, Commissioner Hernandez.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Hello. Can someone hear me?
Oh, I'm sorry. Is there someone from the public?
Yes, there is. Can you hear me? This is George Hernandez.
Yes, we can hear you.
Hi, thank you. I just have a question to the applicant and or staff. By approving the zoning change from residential to planned mountain development, I was just wondering, does this pave the path to, I know the proposal is for a parking structure or an expansion of the existing parking structure, but are they allowed multi-level on that parking structure or an expansion of existing facilities at subject property.
Can I go ahead and answer that, staff?
Go ahead.
Just so I guess the question is, the answer to this is, well, the only reason why we're doing this is actually a cleanup zoning. This site is existing right now, and it had, even back then, 2 different zoning categories, PMD and R4. This is to actually get that cleaned up, and so now you have everything PMD. So it's actually requesting the more restrictive zoning category to make it all one. That's first. Second, there's no changes to the buildings. There's no additions to the buildings. This only came up when we added it. We're asking for an addition to a parking lot that's to the west, basically buffered away from all the residents that are to the east of this site. There's no parking structures. It's nothing like that. Hopefully that answers your question.
It does. I was just bringing it up because there's an unpaved pathway that you would need to get to in order to have attached that proposed parking lot to the existing parking lot. And I was just wondering if there's going to be, the main concern is mountain integrity and additional destruction of what's currently there.
We concur, and that's why the PMD, which is more restrictive and protects the mountain development, that's why we're doing this.
Okay, thank you for answering.
Thank you. Any other members of the public that would like to speak? Okay, can we get a motion, please?
Move to approve again, Jeffrey Wright.
Second, Commissioner Hernandez.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The motion passes. Thank you. Next up is item number 9, also a public hearing item, PZR Z20000005.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good afternoon, Chair, members of the Commission. Luis Zamora with Planning and Inspections. Item 9 on the agenda is a rezoning for 6391 Domingo. This property is located west of I-10 and north of Artcraft. The subject property is approximately 0.83 acres. The applicant is requesting to rezone from R3 to R5 to develop the subject property into duplexes. The proposed development is consistent with adjacent residential developments and is in keeping with the policies of Plan El Paso for the G3 post-war future land use designation. The generalized plot plan shows 4 proposed duplex lots that include on-site parking spaces with access through Domingo Street. This is an image of the subject property. And these are images of properties abutting the subject property. To the north, we have a duplex, which is directly adjacent to the property, and it's zone R3. And then across borderline, we have mobile homes, zone AM. To the east, we have single-family dwellings and apartments, zone R3. To the west, we have single-family dwellings and duplexes, zone R3. And to the south, we have a single-family dwelling, zone R3. Notice for the rezoning was mailed on April 17, 2020. We did not receive any calls in support nor opposition to the rezoning request. To conclude, staff recommends approval of the rezoning request as the proposed development is compatible with adjacent properties and uses and it is in keeping with the policies of Plan El Paso for the G3 post-war designation. This concludes my presentation.
Any questions for staff? Can we hear from the applicant, and does the applicant agree with staff recommendations?
If the applicant is here, six.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, this is Enrique Escobar, and we agree with staff comment.
Any questions for the applicant? This isn't the public hearing section. If anyone from the public would like to speak on this item. Sounds like there are comments. If you'd like to make a motion.
Move to approve.
Commissioner Uribe. Okay, second, Commissioner Uribe.
That was a first by Mr. Hernandez and a second by Mr. Uribe. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. On the motion.
You're muted, Commissioner. Please unmute yourself.
Sorry about that. Item number 10 and 11 will be heard together. Both are in the public hearing items, and the item numbers are PZR Z20000006 and PZST20000005. I'm sorry, 06. I should wear my glasses.
Martha, if you're there, can you please unmute yourself? Please press *6.
Okay, let me go ahead and start over. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Andrew Saloma with Planning and Inspections. Before I start my presentation, both items, number 10 and 11, do have revised staff reports. Item 10 and 11 on the agenda, it's a rezoning and special permit application, which are related subject properties located at 7860 Craddock Avenue. Subject property is 9.82 acres in size. It is currently a vacant lot. The applicant is requesting to rezone from ranch farm to R1 residential, and this would be to allow 13 single-family dwellings. The applicant is also requesting a special permit to allow for planned residential development in the R1 zone district, as requested by El Paso City Code Section 20.10.470. The detailed site development plan does show the 13 single-family dwellings. The applicant is also requesting the following reductions: from the required 125-foot lot width to 77 feet, the required 15 feet side yard setback to 5 feet, the required 20 feet side street setback to 10 feet, and from the required 100 rear front cumulative setback to 65 feet. And also the required 40 feet side and side street cumulative setback down to 20 feet. The detailed site plan is reflecting and showing the 40-foot front setback. If you see the bold numbers for the reductions request on the table of density and setback dimensions on the side, on the current slide, and the detailed site development plan also includes the 10-foot wide irrigation easement. Access to the subject property is proposed from James Street. There's a picture of the elevation. There's a site plan imposed on the aerial. This is a subject property. You see the north is zoned R3, single family. To the south, R1 has special permit, also single family dwelling. To the east is ranch farm and R1, single family dwelling. And to the west is ranch farm and R3A, single family dwellings as well. Planning Division recently did receive a letter via email in opposition to the rezoning and special permit request. That is attachment 5 on the rezoning staff report. Planning also does recommend approval of the rezoning request from Ranch Farm to R1 based on compatibility with the surrounding zoning and uses. The proposed district zone is consistent with the surrounding residential districts in the immediate area, and it does meet the established character of the surrounding neighborhood. Furthermore, the proposed development does meet the intent of the G3 post-war use designation for Plan El Paso in the Mission Valley planning area. And Planning Division does also recommend approval of the special permit for the planned residential development as it meets the requirements of the El Paso City Code Section 2010-470, planned residential development, 20-04-320, special permit, and 20-04-150, detailed site development plan. And that concludes my presentation.
Questions for staff?
Commissioner Garcia, I have questions. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Andrew, I just wanted to know, is there a particular reason for the number of exceptions that are being asked for? Specifically, like the 15 feet to 5 feet, 20 feet to 10 feet, and so on.
That is it's compatible with the existing properties to the east and also to the south. To the south, those were recently approved. A special permit was approved recently for that one, and it's also a planned residential district, and that's more for compatibility, so that they both will have the same.
Okay. Attachment 4. I couldn't get a clear picture of the typical lot grading. Can you describe what's in that diagram?
This is Raul Garcia with Planning and Inspections. So this is a detailed site plan. As far as grading, it's just going to show the direction of water flow. We can tell you these lots will be on-site ponding. We can say that for sure. However, the details as far as grading and which way that water is going to go, those are going to come in on the plat. There is going to be this property is upplatted, so the next step after this rezoning and special permit is the subdivision, and that's where those details and standards will be looked at and reviewed.
Okay, so on the lower left-hand corner, where it says underneath typical lot grading, that doesn't necessarily mean where things are going to be. It's just an example. Because I can't see the descriptions; they're real blurry.
Yeah, so we can take a look at that. However, again, this property is going to be platted. Drainage improvements, any type of stormwater improvements, those are a requirement as far as the plat. So whatever happens on that property, however it's developed, it is going to have to comply with our drainage and grading standards. But if you'd like, we can circle back with you and get more information on that note and on those requirements and circle back with you. At this point, we can tell you it is going to be on-site ponding.
Okay. Lastly, are you able to speak to the access regarding, I'm looking at the map again on attachment 4, between 8, 10, 12, I understand behind those are going to be 9, 11, and 13. What's the access to 9, 11, and 13? What kind of surface would that be?
9, 11, and 13 will have panhandle access, and it'll be off of James Street.
Okay, and from James to those lots, is that going to be paved?
It will. It will be paved. It's a little more like a private driveway because more than 100 feet, but it'll also be reflected on the plat.
Okay. Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
This is Debbie Torres, and I have a question as well. My question is regarding the special permit. Currently, the applicant is proposing 13 residential lots, and with this special permit request, would this allow the applicant to go in and change the plot plan to either decrease or add additional residential lots by, changing the sizes of the lots and therefore adding additional lots?
Raul Garcia Paredes, no ma'am, no. So the special permit is establishing minimum lot dimensions, which again, this is an R1, which are considerably larger than your typical. And so whatever, it is binding, this detailed site plan is binding. So those dimensions will have to be adhered to at time of construction. If at any time, for whatever reason, there are changes where they want to go smaller, then that would trigger a coming back a brand new application, having to go through the entire public hearing process to City Plan Commission and then back to council.
Thank you.
This is Commissioner Garcia. I'm so sorry. I have one more. Where staff was presenting, the word duplexes came up, but it was kind of choppy and incomplete. Could you clarify what that statement was regarding duplexes?
No, there is no duplexes. They're single-family dwellings.
That is correct. This R1 district does not permit duplexes, so duplexes would not be permitted at any time.
Okay, I think that's what the statement was, but like I said, it came out choppy, so thank you.
Any other questions for staff? Can we hear from the applicant, and does the applicant agree with staff recommendations?
Yes, good afternoon. Sal Masood again, Del Rio Engineering. And we do agree with staff comments and recommendations.
Any questions for the applicant?
Hello?
Yes. Is it a member of the public?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we can hear you.
Thank you. My name is Roberto Avalos. I appreciate your help in allowing me to speak today. We had gone through this before, and this is ludicrous because the infrastructure and the safety of this whole charade is crazy. We have, James Street is a very narrow street. It's only 32 feet. I mean, it's to allow 2 vehicles only. So there's, and all these properties go to the front of that. So we have like 16 or 17 different homes coming out to James Street. That's crazy. And then requesting to setback be set only 5 feet. That's even crazier. But let me tell you, this is more than just a safety issue. We have irrigation ditches to the back of this property. The Playa Drain lateral is in the back of this whole property thing. On Craddock Street, they can't access that street because there's an irrigation lateral easement that runs through the front of that. All that can't be changed because the water from the Playa Lane lateral goes through that to allow irrigation for the properties in the front. This whole thing is crazy. Then they're requesting the driveways to be only 10 feet. I can't imagine a fire department trying to reach those back properties on 10 feet, or those big trucks or an emergency and an ambulance. This whole thing is not compatible with the community. Our community had gone before you, and you all had agreed they had been denied before. Now, the Diocese of El Paso there's so many issues. I would like to extend an invitation to all of you all to come out here to actually see what they're proposing, and you will see how ludicrous this is. Even if the department says that, yeah, it meets standards, it is crazy. It is absolutely crazy. I can't imagine those homes on trash day with those 15 containers or 16 containers, and then on recycle day, those 30 containers in front of that narrow street. James Street is a dead-end street, and it's a narrow street. So there's a lot of safety issues. Plus, imagine all that traffic now heading out in the mornings when the kids from the Head Start program are heading in. It is unbelievable, and it's unsafe. The infrastructure is not there to allow this type of development. There's safety issues. There's recent deaths here in El Paso, here in the lower valley, of somebody dying because in an irrigation ditch accident. Just last week on the 20th. And had been denied because of all of this. It does not meet with compatibility. My property butts up with them. The diocese is my neighbors, and that's very non-compatible, and it's not with established character. I'm just there's so much things that are wrong with all of this. Trying to request for setbacks to be changed, trying to change those driveways to only 10 feet. All those people in the back having to go through a 10 feet driveway through somebody else's property to get to the back. That is crazy. That is crazy. It does not meet with the compatibility of our neighborhood. It does not meet with established character. The Diocese of El Paso does not need to change this. The property was a gift back when our first Bishop Schuler from the Society of Jesus was given this. Since then, we've had Bishops Metzer, Flores, Barra, Ochoa, and our current one. So I strongly request that for the safety of this community, that it be denied, that we wait for another bishop to do the right thing, and that there is no need to change the change. this property has a lot of history, and it's been farmland before. It was for many years it was farmland. My property next to it is farmland. And they don't need to change that. Plus, the infrastructure in our community does not allow for that. And you're going to see so much change, so much damage to the community because of this. So I strongly recommend, I invite everybody for coffee to come out to actually see the property, to see the street, to see the...
Mr. Avalos, your 5 minutes are up. Your 5 minutes are up. If you can please wrap it up, please. Thank you.
I thank you all greatly, and I strongly request that you please deny this and allow the next bishop to do the right thing with this property. That was a gift to the church.
Thank you, Mr. Avalos.
Thank you, Mr. Avalos. Any other members of the public that would like to speak?
Yes, sir. I have 2 more people signed up. Mr. Ivan Lopez. Mr. Lopez, please remember to press *6 to unmute yourself. And you will have 5 minutes to speak.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. This is, hello, Chair and members of the commission. This is Ivan Lopez with the Playa Neighborhood Association. We're the neighborhood association in this area. And I'm hoping everybody's staying safe and healthy over there. I mean, thank you very much for allowing us to express ourselves. One of the things I want to mention, and it's going to sound like it's pretty much opposite to what Mr. Avalos was saying earlier today, or just right now. But, I mean, we did consult with several of our neighborhood association members, and a lot of us see this as a success. This has been a 3-year-long process, and it's been very time-consuming and very stressful for a lot of the members of the neighborhood, because we've been truly fighting to make this show people that this is a unique area in the Mission Valley. And so back in 2018, we were at the CPC with neighborhood associations citywide, and we stood against a proposed development. At the time, they were proposing 65 homes, I believe, and an R3A zoning. And we were there, 400 signatures, 50 neighborhood associations, to demonstrate that this is a unique area to the Mission Valley. And we're really grateful to the City Plan Commission and the City Council, because at the time they agreed with or understood the concerns of the neighborhood. But then going forward, 2019, there was actually a city-initiated rezoning in the area, in our area, pretty much surrounding to this property, because there were some discrepancies in city records that the zoning was actually not accurate. And so in order to be consistent with the character of the neighborhood, the properties surrounding this area were actually rezoned to be the adequate zoning and to what the character of the neighborhood is and the qualities of the neighborhood. So, and there we're really grateful for the planning department, City of El Paso Planning. Thank you very much for their guidance, for their support through this, because we all saw that there was an error there, and we were able to correct it. Today, 2020, we're a lot of us are really appreciative of the fact that this process has taken us to this point, and that the proposed rezoning today is an R1 special permit, and it shows respect to the neighborhood that is currently there. It's sensible to the neighbors, that are living there. And I think with that, I mean, we want to say very, very special thanks to Representative Rivera, because this is our representative, and he has been there with us through the entire process, and has been there with his community, us, and his constituents, and supporting his neighborhood associations and through all this process. So our task, as the neighborhood association moving forward, is to ensure that the next process, which is the subdivision process, actually maintains this plan, so that, as one of the commissioners mentioned earlier today, there's no increase in homes or lots, and that it does maintain what has been planned and what's been shown today. So, and thank you very much to all of the neighbors, of the Playa neighborhood that have stuck together through all this process. And I mean, I think we've grown together and we've become a lot better neighbors, and we're really glad for that. So, thank you very much for allowing me to speak, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you. We have one more person signed up, Mrs. Fabiola Campos Lopez. You will have 5 minutes.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Good afternoon, Chair and members of the Commission. My name is Fabiola Campos Lopez, Coordinator for the Corridor Civic Association in Mission Valley area. But right now I'm going to speak at this time as a long resident of the area where this rezoning with a special permit is being proposed. Like Mr. Lopez before, today is a very special day to our community because of what this rezoning case represents to the residents and members of Playa Neighborhood Association. It has been almost 3 years of time, effort, and teamwork invested to get to this point. Thank you first to Mr. Rivera leadership, who has been standing with his constituents since day one. Decisions were made and directives were given to planning department staff to assist the affected property owners in the process of correcting the more than 40 years inappropriately zoned area. Thank you also to the current and previous city planning department staff, Mr. Etue, Mr. Smith, Mr. Hoffman in his time, and especially Mr. Garcia, for all your time and willingness to preserve the quality of life of our community in particular and encourage a responsible growth in the area. And last but not least, thank you, CPC, on allowing us, Playa Neighborhood Association, express their concerns, and with your favorable recommendation that day, 3 years ago, you grant time to our community to work on what was needed to bring us to this moment. Your public service is greatly appreciated, and special thanks to our members from the Playa Neighborhood Association and Corridor 20 Civic Association. With all the teamwork that we have done, and it's been not only ours, it's been a lot of work, especially doing the research and seeing it that far and bringing us to this moment. I really appreciate the work from everyone, every member, every signature. Thank you for standing back with our purpose. And with that, I concur with the planning department recommendation. Thank you to all.
Thank you, Ms. Campos Lopez. Appreciate it. Any other members of the public who would like to speak?
Any members of the public, please press star 6.
Do you have more members?
No, sir, I have no one else signed up.
Okay, so let's move to further discussion or a motion.
This is Commissioner Hernandez, and I was just going to say, yeah, I do remember when this came through last time, and I think I mentioned something that it could show as a really good example or model of how planning staff, CPC, the community, and other actors really came together to make this happen, because the original plan development were so many more lots than what's shown there today. And so I think that I did mention this last time at CPC, that we can kind of single this out as a model or example for training in the future. But I'm happy with the end result of this.
You know, if I might, to go along with that, this is Kevin Smith. Echo that this is a great example of us working with the applicant, the neighborhood, to find something that works well for all parties. This is in line with the current neighborhood. The roadway, James, was able to be reconstructed via a capital improvement project, and this is something that at the end of the day is appropriate for the area. So if you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer them. Thank you.
Any further discussion on this item? Can we get a motion, please?
This is Commissioner Hernandez, move to approve.
Commissioner Torres seconding that motion.
Can I get a vote, please? Go ahead. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. And the motion?
No.
There's a no?
Yes. Jeffrey Wright.
Okay.
Reminder to the public, the council in the near future, and you will be notified as well. Thank you.
I missed that last statement.
This will be moving forward to the city council, so those who would like to speak in support or opposition will have that opportunity as well. As for these items, City Plan Commission is a recommending body, and City Council is the final authority on these matters.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. Okay, the next item is item number 12, PZS 20-0002. It's also under the public hearing section. In case there were people who wanted to speak on that from the public. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the Commission. Luis Zamora with Planning and Inspections. Item 12 on the agenda is a special permit request for 12781 Edgemere. This consists of two properties. They're located north of Edgemere and west of Rich Beam. It currently houses a fire station. The subject property's total size is approximately 5.44 acres. The applicant is requesting a special permit under governmental use for the additional use of a transit state terminal and approval of the detailed site development plan. The proposed transit station will be for the Montana Rapid Transit System line for Sun Metro. Will be connecting Far East El Paso with Central El Paso. The subject properties are Zone C1 and R5. The detailed site development plan shows a proposed transit terminal layout and includes a 5,714 square foot proposed building, which will be the terminal, in addition to the building footprint of the existing fire station. And it also shows the parking facilities layout. You can see here on the right, that's the footprint of the fire station, and then at the bottom is the transit terminal. It will include a total of 162 vehicular parking spaces. This total will include six accessible parking spaces, 135 regular parking spaces, 5 bicycle parking spaces, and in addition, this will be in addition to the fire station existing parking facilities that already includes 2 accessible parking spaces and 19 regular parking spaces. Bus and vehicular access is proposed from Edgemere with exit through RC Poe via dedicated driveways for each. This shows the elevations. Max height for the transit terminal is 27 feet. The existing fire station max height is 37 feet and 9 inches. This is a site plan superimposed on aerial imagery. This is the subject property. And then these are images of the abutting properties. To the north, we have directly adjacent at the water tower from El Paso Water, and then we have single-family residences across RC Poe. These are Zone R3. To the south, we have retail and ballroom. They are Zone C1 and C2. To the east, we have a bank and more retail, as well as some single-family residences. They are Zone C1 and R3. And to the west, we have El Paso Electric right-of-way, Zone R3. Notices were mailed on March 19, 2020. We did not receive any communication in support nor opposition to the special permit request. To conclude, both Planning and the Development Coordinating Committee recommend approval of the special permit request and approval of the detailed site development plan. The proposal meets all the requirements of El Paso City Code 20.04.320 special permit and 20.04.150 detailed site development plan. Furthermore, the development meets the G4 suburban walkable future land use destination of Plan El Paso. Thank you. This concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Any questions for staff? Does the applicant agree with staff recommendations, and are you available to speak to it?
Good afternoon, Chair and Commissioners. This is Michael Villa with Sun Metro, and we agree with all staff comments.
Thank you. Any questions for the applicant? This is a public hearing item. Any members of the public that wish to speak on this, staff?
You can sign up, but if there's anyone who'd like to speak, please press *6.
Okay, looks like we do not have any members of the public that would like to speak, so if I can get a motion, please.
Move to approve, Jeffrey Wright.
Second, Trimble.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And the motion passes. For other business, we have minutes to approve. Anyone have any comments? Would like to make a motion?
Move to approve, Trimble.
For a second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And the motion passes. Anyone want to make a motion to adjourn?
Trimble. Second, Hernandez.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And the motion passes. Have a great day.
Bye.
Thank you.